Hello and welcome to the Zone Coverage Podcast. My name is Ben Palmer and this is episode 4. Today we'll be discussing the 76ers last night game. That didn't go very well. And also the Denver vs Portland game and the games that are happening tonight. The Toronto versus Sixers game, that was not good. That was not good. I'm a Sixers fan. I'm not biased. Toronto played. The thing that I took away from that game was that the Sixers only lost by 5 points, but we did. The Sixers didn't even play that well. Like when you look at Toronto, everyone that was playing really bad that should have stepped up in the previous games stepped up in that game. Marc Gasol and Kyle Lowry played pretty well. They didn't play superstar status, but they played pretty well, along with Serge Ibaka also played well. Kawhi scored 39 points, which is insane. And Jimmy Butler and JJ Redick and James Ennis were literally the only three people in the 76ers that actually played pretty well. And the 76ers still only lost by 5 points. If they can step up their game actually properly, I don't see how they could still lose this series. The 76ers game, that was a pretty boring game. Everyone was missing wide open shots. That wasn't a good game. Denver versus Portland, pretty interesting game. That was pretty interesting. I don't think anyone had an outstanding performance. Jamal Murray is one of those guys that if he plays well for the team that he's on, it's hard to see them losing. He scored 34 points. Nikola Jokic also played one with a 21-point triple-double. But on Portland, Damian Lillard and CJ played well. Enes Kanter didn't play very well. He only scored 5 points. Seth Curry did play well. He got 16 points, but they were all in the first half. CJ got 29. He's been doing really well in the playoffs. Jamal Murray is one of those guys. If he plays well, it's very hard to see the other team winning, and I think that goes for every game that Portland has played. In the 4OT game, he did play well, but they lost. But they were super close to winning. But I think in the other game, when they did lose, he didn't play well at all. Yeah, he only scored 15 points. He shot 33% from the field. He's one of those players, if he plays well, very difficult to see them losing. Again, when they win, he plays super well. Today's games are two of probably the most exciting ones in the whole series. Milwaukee and Boston, and obviously Houston and Golden State. Golden State and Houston, where is it? It's 3 games. So it's in Houston again. So Houston does have a chance of winning. Also, Boston versus Milwaukee. It's also in Boston. It's in Boston, right? I think. It's in Boston. Boston versus Milwaukee. That one. I can see Houston winning this game. I got Houston more than Golden State in this game, but Boston versus Milwaukee, I don't know. I could definitely see Boston. I'm going to go Boston in this one. I want Milwaukee to win, but, I don't really like Boston. I really don't like Boston. But it really depends on how Jason Tatum plays. There's always a team that if this guy plays well, it's very, they're not going to lose. It goes for Ben Simmons on the Sixers. If he plays well, they're not going to lose. But if he sucks, then there's a good chance that they are going to lose, as you saw in the last game. Who else? Boston, Jason Tatum, if he plays well. Or Marcus Smart. Or Marcus Morris. Any one of those guys. Milwaukee, it's usually Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe is usually that guy. If he plays well, then, it's hard to see them losing. Golden State, really, Stephen Curry. If Stephen Curry plays well, they're not going to lose. That's just how it works. Because Kevin Durant's going to get his points, right? Kevin Durant's going to play well. Everyone knows that. But Stephen Curry's still a bit of a toss-up. You don't know if he's going to play well or not. Curry, if he plays well, then, yeah, it's very difficult to see them losing. I guess I could go for all starting 5 on the Golden State Warriors, though. Doesn't matter if one of them plays well. Maybe besides Draymond Green or Andrew Bogut. But yeah, if Klay Thompson plays well, it's hard to see them losing. Golden State's just such an unstoppable team. Portland, I don't know. Portland, maybe Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter's up there if he plays well. I guess they won without him playing well in the last game. But if Enes Kanter plays well, then usually they dominate. Paul Millsap maybe, Will Barton. He had hit a couple big shots down the stretch. Ronnie hit a couple of big shots down the stretch of yesterday's game, but unfortunately, Portland didn't pull through. Who else played? There was a moment in the Sixers game that was getting pretty wild. Kawhi, that shot. Kawhi doesn't normally play. I said this at the start of the fourth quarter. He averages like 4 points in the fourth quarter. It's wild. Kawhi didn't really play well in the fourth quarter. Besides that one huge shot that he hit. That one huge shot that he hit. That was a big time shot. Kawhi's going to score. No matter what, Kawhi is going to score. That's just what's going to happen. So they got to do his best. Ben Simmons has got to do his best to try and contain him. They got to try and stop the role players from scoring. Obviously, the role players Fred VanVleet. I thought he was going to have such a big impact on the series, but he played super well last season. He got like 16 points a game, averaged 11 this game, but still he does not like to perform well in the playoffs. Danny Green played alright. He had 11 points. He only shot 25% though and only made 1 3. Marc Gasol played well. I thought he had a big impact on 2 threes that he hit because they were big threes. Kawhi obviously playing super well. Didn't get any steals or blocks though. Kyle Lowry played well in the first half and then kind of dipped away in the second half. Didn't really perform in the second half. That was interesting. That was very interesting. I thought Kyle Lowry was the strong suit of the Raptors' first half. But, because Kawhi in the first quarter, I don't think he was... I think he only shot like twice in the first quarter. It was something crazy. And then in today's game, again, it's pre-game. The game will probably start by the time this is uploaded. Bucks versus Boston. So I'm gonna go Boston. And then I'm gonna go Warriors against Houston. Charles Barkley said, I'm pretty sure he said the other day, it was something like the Celtics aren't gonna win another game. I don't think so. I think that they'll take one more game. I don't think it'll go to 7. I think they'll take one more game, and that's about it. If they lose, it would be interesting to see where Kyrie could end up. I don't see Kyrie going to New York. I also don't see KD going to New York. KD's more believable than Kyrie when it comes to free agency, when he can just go wherever he wants, because, because he's a snake. If the Celtics... Okay, wait, I'm on the Discuss the Game app. I did a podcast on this the other day. Go check that out. If the Celtics don't make it past the second round, do they trade young talent for AD? Maybe Jason Tatum? But I actually want Ben Simmons to be traded by the Sixers. He just doesn't... I think Ben Simmons could really blossom in the off-season and in the season in general without Embiid clogging up the paint. Because Ben Simmons played super well in that game that Embiid was out, where he scored like 32 points or something, and almost got 10 assists. He played really well that game. Joel Embiid, they just don't blend well together. I think he should be traded, maybe for AD. That would be a good trade. That would be a good trade for both sides, I think. Because then, well, what would the starting lineup for Philly be if that's the case? Because they would definitely need a point guard if they traded Ben Simmons. They might try and get Drew Holiday. No, Ben Simmons and Drew Holiday for that would be such a good trade. But I don't think there's no way Philly's trading Ben Simmons. That's just not going to happen. I want it to happen, but it's just not going to happen. He's way too young for Philly to trade. There's way too much potential. Yeah, Ben Simmons, I want him to be traded to New Orleans for AD. Because then the Sixers starting lineup, let's just say they don't get a point guard, even though they probably will. It'll probably look like, I would say it mostly would look like TJ McConnell point guard, Jimmy Butler shooting guard. They could run Jimmy Butler at point. It could be something crazy like that, and then run JJ Redick at shooting guard. Tobias Harris at small forward. Anthony Davis at power forward. Right, that would be the best duo in the NBA. Maybe one of the best big man duos of all time. Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid. No one. The paint would not be safe. I'm telling you, that would just be a whole another level of domination. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, Ben Simmons to the New Orleans. That would be pretty cool. I would really like to see that happen. That would probably be the best thing. That would probably be the best thing to happen tonight. Sorry, in the off season. There's a thing called great and worst performances from last night. Jimmy Butler and Kawhi Leonard definitely had the best performances, and Jamal Murray. Maybe Nikola Jokic had the best performances from last night. The worst performances. This is on the NBA discussion app. Torrey Craig, apparently he only scored 3 points. Then we got Maurice Harkless, who only scored 4. Marc Gasol and Kyle Lowry, they're saying, had bad games. I don't think so. I thought they played pretty well whilst watching the game. It says Damian Lillard didn't have that good of a game, and Gary Harris didn't have that good of a game. Yeah, I don't know about that. There were so many more people you could have put on that list. Joel Embiid, obviously, but he was really sick. Besides that, though, he played awful. Ben Simmons had an awful game. The most depressing one, though, by far, I thought, was Tobias Harris. Oh, I was watching that game, and that was awful, because he shot like 22 times and made like 7 shots. He's not even, like, if you're going to give 22 shots to someone, it's not going to be him. It's going to be Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, or Ben Simmons. That's just who it's going to be. Tobias Harris isn't going to get the most shots on the team, even though he did, which I thought was ridiculous. And in the last minute of the game, he doesn't decide. What happened was that Jimmy Butler went in the paint, passed it to Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid passed it to a wide open shot. You don't understand how wide open this shot was. It couldn't have been more wide open. Tobias Harris bricks it, and we were down by like 4 or something. We were down by 4 with like a minute left. It couldn't have been more wide open, and he missed it. And I think that's what lost us the game. I'm not even gonna lie. We definitely could have won the game if he didn't miss that shot. That's gonna be it for this podcast. This has been episode 4 of Zone Coverage, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.